Welcome to Marlowe House Presents. I'm Monica Marlowe.
And I'm Andrew Marlowe.
No, I'm Scott.
And I am Jim.
Who?
What? This is Marlowe House Presents, Longest Night. Tonight's adventure is actually written by me, and it is in Numenera, which is our quickly favorite game. As I said, I wrote this adventure, and it is about the longest night. And as it is December 21st, the winter solstice of 2018, I can say that it is most appropriate that we were able to get a group together to play this. Let's start with Scott. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your character tonight?
Oh, should I do like the words and all that?
You can do all those
The
things.
super fancy words and
Just
stuff.
don't read us the whole character sheet, though.
My character hails from a little wooded town. As he's a nano, he had to meet with the village shaman who did his little spirit quest thing and was like, "Oh, with all these amazing creatures in the ninth world, your guide is this thing I've never seen before." And because it matched him so well, he earned his name of Badger. And as it happens, Badger is a strong-willed nano who hunts with great skill.
Tonight I'm playing Saul, who is a sharp-eyed jack who solves mysteries. Saul grew up in a small farming community, a lot of mouths to feed, very hard life. He came to the realization in his teens that with one less mouth to feed, everything would be a little easier on the rest of the family. So he packed up his things, went off to explore and make his way, and along the way he found out he likes to explore and solve problems.
That's a good thing, because we like to explore here in the ninth world.
And
It's all about
cause
discovery.
problems.
Yes.
So I'm playing Addis, a confident nano who masters weaponry. Addis also grew up in a small rural community, but the area he grew up in, all of the trees in the forest were made out of glass. And so he and a lot of the other poor children would, to make money and get shins, would root through the banks of shards and leaves to find Numenera and bring it back for the couple of Aeon priests in the town to repair and make it work again, to make the magic of the old world function. Eventually, he kind of got bored with what he was doing.
Sorry, I lost. I'm sorry, I lost my video feed.
So eventually he got bored with what he was doing, and he decided he was going to go out into the world and see what was what. And he's been sort of exploring and journeying ever since.
Excellent.
Oh, and he's because they root through glass, he's got shard scars that go all the way up and down his arms from where they were digging around.
Right, so we fixed our sound, but now I don't have video again, so that stinks.
It's all right. I've got video but no chat.
I've got chat.
Well, as long as we have it all together, then we're in good shape. As long as it's just
Teamwork.
This is,
Yay!
that's how we roll here. All right. So, as your characters have recently finished up a adventure in one of the in the Steadfast, you are on your way back to your home base, and you find yourselves in a farming community. And as you are heading through earlier in the day, you notice that some of the farmers and the people out in the field, you notice that they are preparing their livestock for what appears to be the night. They're gathering in their animals, while you do head through some grazing pastures, you notice that there aren't any animals there, although you would expect it, even though it's getting cooler and it is getting closer to winter. You're a little surprised that they're not taking advantage of, you know, these last few days before winter truly sets in, and and when you do see people, they kind of eye you suspiciously. They look concerned. You do find your way along the road that you're following in a village. It's fairly sizable for the area, and it is by the name of Lowscroft. A large blonde man, kind of rough, stops you and says, "Gentlemen, are you lost?
No, we're passing through.
You're passing through. Were you planning to stay here this evening?"
Not necessarily. We thought we might try to push through.
Yeah, we have a bit of time.
I don't think you will. Are you not aware? You tonight is longest night. You can't travel through here tonight.
Why not?
I mean, it looks like big open space.
Got plenty of daylight left, and
I'm reaching in my pocket. I assume he's going to want to brag.
No. We are. Our area is tormented by these glowing globes on longest night. Lights in the forest. They come through the area, and our people go missing. Our animals go missing. They range much further than you could make here today.
I exchange a look with the others.
We
Kind of cock an eyebrow back at Saul.
As you may have noticed, everyone is starting to bring their animals in. We have a longhouse. It's a community center that we bring in our most prized stock of animals, so that if some of our herds go missing, which has happened in the past, we are not without some stock for both the winter and for the next spring. And everybody comes into town, and we stay here together so that we know where everybody's at.
And you're offering us a place to stay.
Well, I think that you should seriously consider staying indoors somewhere, and that's where we will all be.
If
Thank
it's
you
an
for your
invitation,
I mean, thank you. We're going to discuss it, and we'll get back to you before sunset.
Very well. It won't be too hard to find. It is the largest building here in town, and you are welcome to stay. It's over there on that hill. And as he nods, you do note that there is, amongst the area, the town does have some rolling hills to it, but that there is a large building on top of a hill.
Okay, we'll take a step away from the nice man. And
Okay.
Right, fellas, I'm picking up on a barbecue. There's going to be livestock. They're going to get hungry. And it's going to be fresh meat. But also, there's trouble to get into.
exactly.
I'm sensing trouble.
Yes. I think we've stumbled on something that we need to get to the bottom to. Even if we don't stop it, at least we'll know why it's happening.
Well, we can at least take a look around. I'm not certain that we're going to get to the bottom of much from inside the longhouse,
I agree.
but it seems like a safer bet than throwing ourselves into the fire just to see what's going on outside. And as Badger pointed out, cooking.
Fine. I agree with that assessment.
You do actually note that there are smells of cooking going on, and that people are starting to bring things through town to the longhouse. It does seem that they take it very seriously, that they're all going to be in a single building for a while. The blacksmith is finishing up a couple of projects, it sounds like, from what you can hear. There are some small shops in town and stuff like that. But the longhouse itself, as I said, sits on top of a hill. It's a stone and wood structure. And if you approach it from an angle, you can see that on the backside, that where the hill starts to level off, there is a second level underground, it looks like, and that the entry for the human entry doors that you can see are on top of the hill, but that underneath it looks like there's a paddock or a stabling area, and people are starting to lead their animals into that, even at this point. It's getting around lunchtime.
Okay. Is there somebody with maybe a list checking off who that? Oh, Farmer Bob is here, and Farmer Francine is here. Oh, and we're still missing so and so from this farm.
Not really. If you ask, Illard tells you, we all know that we are welcome here.
Okay.
It's a night where we remember those who have been lost to us already. That we have, and we share the night together. For some reason, the globes don't seem to go through building walls that we are aware of, but we feel that being together on this night is most appropriate, since we have all lost somebody. Invariably, somebody stays behind on their own farms, their own steading, or they end up going out. So we do it to keep like the children safe and stuff like that, to encourage that. But there are going to be people who don't show up, but those are the people who don't normally show up.
Okay.
Do you guys want to take a look around the village? Is there anything that you feel like you need?
If this is the kind of place that it doesn't usually touch, I will scan the walls to see if they're made of any particular kind of material.
You don't really pick up on anything. All of the buildings are of similar, local rock, local lumber type thing. They're not certain why they don't go through buildings either, but they have discovered that being indoors is a good idea. But you don't see anything that particularly says this is a magical building.
Right. Might be a morbid question. Has anybody ever seen these things sort of show up and go after people?
Yes. They do. We have seen, there have been stories of people being together out, lost, or retrieving lost lamb or something that has gotten out, and the globe will follow one of the people, or will be following one of the animals, and then once it overcomes that, they're gone. We don't know what happens.
Are they like really big?
They're bigger. They're more. They're taller than a man stands.
Do they leave any drop-ins behind?
That I've ever heard of.
Probably not an animal.
Do they roll over the ground or do they hover? I understand that you're
dark.
not.
I can't really say. It's hard to say if they touch the ground or not. They do appear to roll, but they are mostly light. And
I understand.
We try not to get too close to them.
Oh, no.
Ground seems to be intact after, though.
So far as I can tell, I mean, there are some nights an abundance of them. Some years there are an abundance, and other nights there are not. You do note that there are some windows that can be shuttered on the building. We typically don't watch, though. It's kind of upsetting and alarming. we've had farmers who have lost their entire herds, or so that's why we encourage everyone to bring in some of their animals.
How long has this been going on? Is this something that's been going on for generations in your town? Is this something that you've seen?
No, this is something that's been going on for as long as anyone can remember. All the stories our grandparents told us.
So you've all been staying indoors for generations.
On this night, yes.
Ruh-roh.
Okay. What is the tallest building in town that is not the longhouse? Is there a granary, a silo?
There are some 2-story buildings at ground level, but there aren't any super big buildings.
How tall is the
can
longhouse?
Well, it's on top of a hill. It's
Well, yeah.
actually only 1 story, but
It's high.
It's higher than most of the other buildings. The hill's not that tall, but it does give it elevation, so that and that's why they built into it, so that the animals are underneath, so they don't have to enter. But you can climb or you can get to the top of a building if that's what you're looking for.
I want to stay on top of a building tonight when these things roll in and find out what's going on.
Okay.
But I'm worried about getting down in a hurry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of borrowing somebody's ladder.
I don't carry a ladder.
That's why I was going to borrow one of these nice villagers. Looking around, is there a ladder? Like laying around or anything? Or you carry rope? I mean, it's not horrible, but
not particularly.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
obviously someone must be able to get on top of the taller
Right.
buildings to get to the roofs.
I was going to give somebody a shiny piece of metal to just have their ladder around tonight, just in case. But
At this point, everybody's
Everybody's-
everyone who you talk to thinks that's a terrible idea. And while they would be willing to do that, they think that's a terrible idea.
okay, then
And
You're
they're
freaking out the
actually kind of
locals.
aghast.
I'm going to step back.
What was that?
I told him he was freaking out the
I'm
locals.
going to step back and not.
One of us could just go up on the roof.
I know, but the whole idea of coming down and breaking an ankle in the middle of orbs of crazy going on doesn't seem.
We don't worry about that.
I don't want to break my ankle
Right, but
falling off a roof.
Yeah,
what
not-
Badger's doing is volunteering to go up on the roof.
Okay, you can go on the roof.
Because I know he's not volunteering me.
Oh, you changed that out, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
All right.
Does anybody else have any ideas?
I thought maybe we would hang inside and talk to people and maybe peek out the windows and just let the night go past more or less.
Once they shut the doors, we'll probably not get back out.
Unless there's a roof access. Or an upper window. But I'm imagining there's probably no roof access.
Any wall has access if you hit it hard enough.
And as far as being indoors and needing to get out, I'm pretty certain we can. I'm confident that we can get through the doors. I have no problems with that.
So what are you guys planning then?
Is this the
What's
kind of locale that has indoor plumbing?
No, these seem to be more rustic. While they are human built, I mean, there's some synth and stuff like that, but these aren't really quite that. Although in the longhouse there is a latrine. They down in the stabling area.
So they've thought ahead enough to say, oh, we should probably not run to the outhouse.
Which is probably wise if once a year you have to worry about getting gobbled up by glowing Pac-Man.
The Pac-Man Fairy.
I like that you made me have to think about toilets in my game design. You're not the first person to do that, though.
There's
So
nothing
anyway.
here of interest today.
So you are forced going inside.
Yes, because
I'm
that's where the
for-
food will be. I mean, I wouldn't if you really want to leave the creature comforts and go hang out on the roof, I'll hang out on the roof with you. I have no problems with that. But there's going to be food inside.
There's going to be mysteries outside. Badger?
What? I'm gonna go mess with the things myself.
From inside or outside?
I can't very well mess with the things from inside.
All right.
Not saying I'm not gonna go in and nip some food.
Okay, let's get something to eat and then wait outside.
Okay.
Never mess with the wonders of the world on an empty stomach.
I agree.
So as the evening starts to approach, more and more people are in town, and they are making their way to the longhouse, and fewer people are coming back out. So it is starting to get not
Sparse.
crowded. Town is getting sparse. The longhouse is starting to sound like a little bit like a party, as you would expect, something like that. There's definitely plenty of food and drink and children, and people are playing games, and they clearly are try to make the best of a situation that they have no control over. So
this is not like a walled community then.
no, they only this night of the year do they ever seem to have a problem, and they have taken measure to have a place that's safe, but they don't have a wall around the town because there's too many farms.
Fair.
So, are you all hanging out, eating dinner?
We're going to purchase dinner, I guess.
It's kind of a potluck at this
Okay.
point. Everybody's brought food.
Okay.
There's plenty. Nobody wants your money,
Okay.
which is probably the only time I will ever say that.
Right. So we have some of the beast, some of the local drink, fermented something or other.
Probably mead, although who knows if bees survive to the ninth world.
Robo bees.
Robo bees.
Oh, bees. Why does this mead taste like oil?
Kind of got a slick texture on it.
That's gonna run right through me.
So, it is starting to get dark outside, though, and even though there are a lot of people here, the tone of the room starts to change a little bit. It starts to get a little less festive. It's kind of like everybody's listening. The adults are definitely more aware of what's going on. Everybody has obviously done a head count. Everybody's kind of. Everyone knows everybody. This is a town. Even though there are a couple hundred people, they definitely know who's at home and who's not coming in, and who's here.
I will take this opportunity to step out.
Okay. There are people at the doors.
Okay.
They don't stop you, but they do caution you
Right.
that leaving is not a good idea.
I understand. Thank you for your concern.
All right. Badger and Addis, are you
there-
also going out, or
Is there a second floor?
you are actually
We are on the
technically
second floor.
second floor?
So people will notice if we start popping windows and.
Oh yeah, no, you can't pop windows. The building is occupied enough that there's not really a good
A dark corner.
Yeah, there's not really a dark corner. As a matter of fact, it is very well lit. The whole, there are glow globes and everything. It's pretty bright, all things considered.
Badger will also go outside.
Your absence will be noted. Andrew.
I'll follow the other two. Looking longingly back at the food and fire.
Okay. In the time that you've been in there, it is getting cooler outside. While you can see some of the stars, there are some clouds, and you are aware enough that it may begin to rain or snow, depending on how cold it gets. But at this point, the moon, the stars, the night sky on the ninth world is filled with things that it's not clear whether they're stars or whether they're things in geosynchronous orbit. You know, it always looks like there's a meteor shower going on at some point. You know, anytime you look up, chances are something is falling into the atmosphere and burning up. Some things do seem to move in geosynchronous orbit, and then other things shoot past, like perhaps old satellites of some kind. But the moon is visible, and it does appear to be rising, and like tonight, it is also a full moon.
Okay.
So you will have plenty of light. That said, the sun is also now below the horizon, and it is kind of that burnt orange, fading quickly into blue and black. So where are you headed?
As long as we're still by the door. Night, how long till the light show?
It won't be long, and they close the door.
Nice. Badger will far step up to the roof.
Of the longhouse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That never gets old.
Blink.
Your far step looks like a blink. You like teleport, short teleport.
Yes. I haven't given too much thought to what the visuals are like.
Okay, I was just curious.
Are you staying on the ground, or are you going up?
I'm staying on the ground for the
Okay.
moment.
Now, I thought they'd mentioned it comes out of the forest. Is there just
There is
forests around that I can't sit there and go, it's going to come from there?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both. Like there are wooded areas, and then there are farms, and then there's some wooded areas, and that the general layout of the area is that you were in a more forested area, and then you started passing into like a farming community. So the area surrounding this region is a little bit of both. There are other settlements that are also in a similar predicament as Lowscroft. They tell you that there are a couple of smaller villages not too far from here, and that they also take precautions. So they are not aware of any immediate neighbors that don't fall into this situation.
Okay.
Okay.
I am going to casually just lean against the wall, scanning the area, waiting for
Okay.
what was promised.
You guys want to go ahead and give me a perception check? Scott, you have an advantage being higher up.
I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of effort on this, because this could be useful at the moment. Huh. That's not good.
All right.
I rolled an 11, plus I'm skilled in perception. So
Okay.
I rolled a 16, plus I have the height advantage.
I am currently trained in perception, and I did lower the difficulty by 1, but I only rolled a 2.
Okay.
Here's bad news.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's right. You get
Failure has consequences.
Yes.
When I roll a 1 or a 2, I trigger a free GM intrusion.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hold that in reserve for the moment. But it is worth knowing. Wahaha.
I don't like the fact you're holding that.
Well, you're standing. I mean, it's not like a satellite falls on your head. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that right now?
Oh, now he's a death in training.
Yes.
Got to go meet at the diner.
So, Badger and Saul, you both think you've heard an animal cry, and then you do hear like some lower like animal rumblings, sounds. If there were cattle in the ninth world, kind of sounds like that, but it's not coming from the longhouse. Badger, you notice that there is a when you hear it, you turn toward it, and then you see there are 4 or 5 of these enormous glowing balls moving on the outer edge of the town, and they are headed, it looks like, toward you, but it looks like they've come through a farm already, and that you think that might be where you've heard the sound from.
Estimates on size?
They're taller than you are. They are definitely like a small one-room building sized. But
That's
it
bigger
would
than
be
a-
a small,
bigger than a bread
but it would
box.
be, yeah, but you know,
Well, except remember
but-
that killer bread box. That was big.
That was.
bigger than an outhouse, but not much bigger than a room, kind of. What's the purpose of it?
Oi, fellas!
What was that? Oh.
Yeah. I look where Badger's pointing.
It's at you 26 o'clock.
Right.
28-hour days.
Yeah, but clocks only have 14 hours on them. Anyway, 6 o'clock. So you can see them as well.
Now, was the sound coming? The sound is gone, or is it still?
The animal sounds have kind of died out.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe died out. Maybe just stopped.
Let's politely say stopped.
Okay.
As they move through the forested area,
Uh-huh.
do they leave light globe-shaped holes behind them?
From here, you can't really tell what's going on. All you can see is them because they are brighter than the surrounding land. At this point, it's getting dark. It's so without the benefit of other buildings being lit or external lights powered by some kind of power source. All of the other buildings are dark. There are no additional lights. Everybody, for the most part, that you can tell, is in here.
Okay.
You know that there are some other people out there, but they've shuttered the windows here.
Right.
Chances are they've shuttered their windows as well.
Were they attracted to the sound, or was it caused? Was the sound caused by that?
They do seem to be headed this way now.
What kind of livestock is in their path at this point?
Livestock that people would keep.
I mean, like are they larger animals? Are they smaller animals? Are they in great
At this
herds?
they're still a little bit out. I mean, there's still enough space that
They couldn't get everything
they
in.
wouldn't be
so-
able to get everything in, and even though people might have paddocks and stuff like that, that's not to say though that the animal in question might have been a wild animal too. I mean, they cannot speak to what happens outside of their own stock, but sometimes getting a building large enough for your entire herd makes it kind of tricky. So some animals are left out.
Keep an eye on it for a few minutes. See if they move quickly. Do they move slowly? Do they tend to
Stay together.
jog or blink.
They seem to have their own erratic behaviors. Like they're moving together, but not really. Like they seem to have come from the same area, but as they move across, they wander, not in any kind of unison or any. They're not synchronized or anything like that. You do start to see more of them and you're not sure. You're not sure if you hadn't seen them before, if they were coming from a distance, and now you're able to see them better. But there seem to be more of them appearing in the area.
So they're not necessarily all coming through the woods. Necessarily.
Not necessarily, correct. And you do start to see them all across the area. As you do a 360, you can see that some are even further out. You can see some in the distance that aren't headed this way at all. They're moving around. It's hard to kind of keep track. They all look the same. They're all great, big, enormous, glowing globes.
2, 3, 3, 3.
More than 3.
So there's a lot of them.
There's several.
Yes.
As they start showing up more, do they start decreasing in size at all? Or are they all maintaining about the same size?
They all maintain their size. Some of them move a little faster. There's probably a couple of dozen of them out there, maybe in the neighborhood of 30 or so. Some move quickly, some slow, some stop, then they start moving again.
They don't seem to be doing anything in relation to one another, even.
Not really. Sometimes they disappear, but you think they might have moved behind a building. You remember that there were houses out there,
Right.
and they're not as big as the farmhouses. They seem to like move behind things and then come back out, or some don't seem to reappear. It's hard to say what you're seeing because it's dark.
So they're not collecting anything, or if they are, they have storage capacity.
Or they're just moving stuff.
They're moving stuff.
Or they're just moving stuff.
They don't seem to be. Well, it's kind of hard to tell without knowing the history. I mean, they could be some sort of spirit of the dead that's trying to do something. Like great uncle passed away, and now they're trying to do what great uncle used to do. But
So
this is.
This is bizarre.
I agree.
So Andrew, that intrusion.
Oh, yay. Yes, you remembered.
Yes, I do. You notice there is one coming down the street to the side of the building. You, unlike Badger, who seems to be looking the wrong way, and
Well, that's because they're all over here.
and Saul, who seems to be cogitating. It seems to be coming pretty close, and you actually see a couple people also running. You see 2 people running in front of it. It seems
Trying to
be
get
following
from it.
Uh-huh.
Heads up, guys. Incoming. And
Bugger.
And civilians.
They are definitely headed toward the longhouse.
Okay. I start pounding the door. I'm like, there are kids out here that need to come in. Let them in. I don't know if they're kids or not, but I think that would get a better reaction. There are
So
kids in
as
here.
it- as
There are
they
kids in. There are kids out here.
As they get closer, you do notice they are a little bit younger.
Okay.
And the globe rolls over them. And as it passes, there's only one of them now running. And they stop running and fall on the ground screaming.
Both of them?
One of them's gone.
And the other
Rolled
one,
over both of them.
And one of them is on the ground screaming.
Yes. Crying, it's a wail. It's more of a wail of grief, more so than pain, but it's kind of hard to tell.
Can we roll initiative
You
or
sure
something?
can.
Oh, that's a much better roll than the last time.
That's not. Well, I'm trained in it.
Well, then
That'll
what'd
help.
you roll?
A 2.
Oh, so you succeeded in not failing.
I am not trained in it, but I did roll a 16.
Okay. What'd you get there, Scott?
I rolled a 19. And I have nothing to complement that.
The 19 is nice and tasty by itself. You don't need to.
Shoot. Oh, you know what? I gave up my pencil with the eraser. Thanks. I just realized. Okay. Badger, you go before the globe.
I will actually far step down from the roof.
Okay. The orb continues through town. It's quickly approaching you all. It does not seem to be headed toward you, per se. It has not like veered toward you. It's making a straight line,
Okay.
tangential to you.
It moved faster than me. That's scary.
Dun dun dun.
So what are you doing, Addis?
Is it between me and this downed youth?
You could make a straight line toward the individual, and you would pass by it, but it's not really like a direct line between you. You're a triangle. So, I mean,
So it's not in my way.
It's not in your way, yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to spend 2 intellect points.
Okay.
I'm going to use my far step ability, which is basically a simple I leap into the air and cover the distance with an effortless like single leap.
Okay.
And I can jump to anything within long range.
All right. You do that.
And so I land right next to this.
Okay. It appears to be a young woman, and she is very upset.
I'm going to try to help her to her feet and tell her that we need to get inside.
Okay. She starts to kind of register what's going on and begins to get up. Saul, what are you doing?
I'm going to find a convenient throwing size rock
Okay.
and throw it away from us. Away, so if glowing orb is going this way, we're here-ish this way. So if it is following sound, it would veer that way. If it's not following sound, it still wants to continue on its path, it'll go that way.
Okay.
But if it's somehow aware of its environment and doesn't care what goes on there, it will come towards me. So
Okay, so give me a might roll just
Okay.
to see that you don't hit Badger in the head with a rock.
Don hit Badger in the head with a rock.
19.
All right. So you get that rock right where you want it, and the globe seems to be oblivious to both it and you.
Awesome.
So, Badger,
How close is this orb to us?
it's moving away from you now.
Oh, well. That might be okay.
It is like moving through the village, though. I mean, it's moving through past the buildings.
But on
And so
pathways.
yeah, it kind of you lose sight of it because it passes behind a building, and then you can see it beyond, and it seems to be moving off in a.
If there are that many buildings here.
Well, there's a few of them.
Right, no, I'm just wondering if it's actually like going around them or if it gets up to the building and then like blinks to the other side.
It's hard to say because now you're lower and you can't and it doesn't appear above the building, so you can't really determine. It looks like it went behind the buildings though, because it casts some light, and you do notice at least one of the buildings that it goes behind. It lights up the front of the building as it approaches, and then it goes beyond.
Okay.
They don't seem to be turning on, like teleporting or anything, but it's hard to say from the angle you're at and
I will.
the speed it's moving and everything.
I will actually half run in that direction.
Okay.
Try to get close enough that my goal is to get close enough I can hit it with a scan.
You aren't going to probably be able to keep up with it. I mean, it ran those people who are running at full tilt here.
But I can also.
You can try.
I can also
but
jump 200 feet at a time.
You can do that too. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So you skip across a couple of buildings and stuff like that through the area. You are able to see it as it leaves town, and it is veered sharply and headed back kind of parallel to the longhouse, and it seems to be moving past the village. If you want to try to scan, it's going to be very difficult, and at this range you're going to be at a disadvantage. So
Let's this is a fresh game. I should refresh all those.
okay.
Let's throw a little effort that way.
Okay.
Don't forget to spend for your first step.
Yeah. Oh, we're totally fresh. I don't have that edge of 2 anymore.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
You have a new character sheet.
There we go. Yeah, so throw some effort at that. Just kind of counteract the disadvantage of distance.
Okay.
And I will throw the die off the table.
Okay.
16 on the die.
All right, and you lowered it by how much?
By 1.
Okay. You're not certain.
2 if Numenera counts.
You're certain it's Numenera, but beyond that, you can't really tell. It's at a distance that you feel like there's something there. I mean, you're aware of it. You can sense it. It's not. It has a signature per se, but beyond that, you're not really sure what it is, and because of its moving away from you, you're not able to get a good long look at it. If you could get closer to one, you might be able to figure it out, but you also can't really say because it was pretty brief.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, or Addis. So the young woman, you get her in the building, and she tells you, well, one of the other townspeople tells you her name is Annelle, and that she was with her. They believed her and her husband, Evett, were staying on their farmstead, and they heard some of their livestock being taken.
So
Or being,
I'm going to try to get this from her, because if they're guessing, I want to find out what's really going on.
She's stuttering and stuff like that. She seems to be pretty upset.
I have a confident outlook. I
Okay.
can be trained in one task for 10 minutes, or as long as it's not an attack or defense. I would like to be trained in persuasion,
Okay.
and I'm going to try to persuade her to calm down so that I can get the story from her coherently.
Okay.
And I will put more effort. Gosh, I am blowing through my intellect on that.
While he does that, and everybody's... something new has happened, I'm assuming a lot of people are looking. I'm going to be looking over the crowd. Is there anybody upset that she's alive and thrilled that her husband is dead?
No, everybody's upset. Some of the adults have moved the children
Okay.
back away from where she's at.
Okay.
And so I had effort, training, rolled an 18.
Okay. So she calms down a little. She's still pretty upset, and she tells you that they decided to stay in their homestead. It's their first year together, and they were concerned. While they didn't think anybody would be in the area, there are sometimes bandits or people who are aware of what happens, and they will go through the homes that are empty, and it's a risk that everybody knows. You have noticed that some people have brought some what seems to be family heirlooms that are easily totable and stuff like that too. So people are concerned about their belongings, and she and he didn't want to lose anything in their first year together, so they stayed. And the globes came, and we heard the livestock, and Evet was upset. He wanted to go see what they had lost, and the globe that was following them started to come back. It looked like it had left, and he went out to look for it to do a head count of the livestock, and it came back. We don't live too far from town, and we were able to stay ahead of it because we weren't thinking. We just it was clearly on its way back for us, and you see what happened.
I'm surprised you were able to keep ahead of it for as long as you were. They were moving pretty fast.
I don't know. I don't understand. It was pretty far out. It had gone, well, one of them had gone through. I don't even know. We could see it in the distance.
I'm assuming this being a small town-ish, she would have a family that would be.
She does, and they're here.
Okay. I ask how the relationship with her new husband was, trying to get the feeling, is there anybody that didn't like this marriage?
It doesn't seem to be that way. Okay. People are kind of a little put off, though.
No, I'm not. I'm like everything's fine. Newlyweds, this is very bad. You guys liked. You guys all liked it.
You're just looking for somebody who seems a little too happy,
right? That maybe
or a little
somebody
too
did an
forcedly.
evil eye or something that.
There doesn't seem to be any of that. Anytime, even though you know that not everybody gets along, even here,
right?
In the longhouse, you can tell that not everybody's best of friends.
Right.
But this seems to be one of those community building events, whether it's for good or bad, that they definitely people put aside their differences because this is a place where
it is so horrible.
It is so horrible.
Okay.
There is not a single person here who does not have a living memory, kind of of something someone or some livestock have been lost.
Okay.
So this is something that really happens to everybody.
Okay.
At that point, Allard does kind of talk to the three of you. He's like, I know you're strangers here, but I also know that people like you, when they come through, they're looking for something. And it's pretty clear that you are looking at this, even though it wasn't perhaps what you had in mind when you arrived. But we've never had anybody here that I know of at the right time and in the right place. Do you think you can help us?
At the very least, we won't bother you anymore.
I'll make sure the ladies pack you some food.
Okay.
That would be fantastic.
So the the people who are cooking, they're not all ladies, but you know he
Right.
he makes sure that you are provisioned for the night, and everybody's kind of got their sleeping rolls, although you all have your camping gear and things like that. So they send you back out into the night.
Do you want to go peek up on the roof again?
You want to go peek up? I don't know. Do they want to go peek back up on the roof again?
One of you two that can easily get to the roof.
I will leap up on the roof.
Okay.
And again, it is sort of like he just effortlessly leaps up.
So you notice now that a little bit of time has passed that all of the globes that you can see seem to have moved past this area. They're not out of sight because you have a pretty good view of what's going on in the distance, but they seem to have moved from in front of the village to sort of past the village, and now they're moving generally and vaguely in the same direction, sort of like a north to south sort of way. It's
a way.
And now I'm beginning to think that we should have asked if they come back.
Yeah.
You're on top of the building. It's not like you can't open the door.
I asked for Illard real quick. I'm like, is it a once a night and then it's done, or does it come in waves, or?
It is once a night. It does seem to happen at a different time, but it does seem to happen at the same time for the village on any given year. Chances are we won't experience anything more. It does seem to have sort of quieted down. This is really Evet's disappearance has put a dampener on the night quite considerably, but Illard does tell you that it does seem to be sort of like there's a window, and then once they get out of that window, and it's a different length, but it's a space and time rather than the whole night long.
Okay.
So, but people stay because you just never know.
Right.
He does let you know when you come back in that a couple of the villagers have heard what you were going to do, and they've offered some of their possessions. They want to make sure that you have everything you need, and he hands over a couple of rejuvenators.
Okay.
One is for speed, and one is for intellect. They are both, and he tells you this that this one will help you be more alert, and this
Right.
one will help you be faster. And they are both level 5, and you'll get 5 points back to those bulls.
Okay. Thank you. Well, the question is, follow them or find out where they came from?
I don't know. Let's answer that after our break.